All right. I believe we are live. I'm still working out the kinks through this, but all right, guys. Today is the schedule release for the 2025 NFL season. More importantly, for the Chicago Bears, and I am joined right here by Soback Sports and and we're supposed to have one more guy in here. He's running a little bit late, but we'll get him in here. But as for now, if you guys want to go ahead and introduce yourselves, go right ahead and tell them where the people can find you as well. So Soback Sports, will go with you as well.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Amrit, or otherwise known as Soback Sports. You can find me on YouTube at Soback Sports, and my socials are pretty much the same thing. I'm excited. I can't wait for the schedule to be finally released and all the rumors to be settled. And yeah, I'm happy to be here.
I'm home, and you guys have my X account right here. You can just follow there, and just let me know. We can always interact and talk football.
I always forget it's called X. I still call it Twitter. It's like for me,
Yeah.
it's like when the Sears Tower changed its name to the Willis Tower. Like I'll never call it the Willis Tower. For
Oh
me,
yeah,
Oh yeah,
it's
me too.
always gonna be the
I still
Sears
call it the
Tower.
Sears Tower.
yeah.
No, for
It
real.
was like
No, yeah.
2010, and then I was a kid growing up, and I just kept on saying Sears Tower. And then at school, they're like, "No, it's called the Willis
Has
Tower."
it really
And
been
I was like, "Nah."
2010? Oh my
Yeah, it's
gosh, that
Yeah,
crazy.
has been a
yeah,
while. Jeez. Yeah, no, same thing with X, man. It's gonna be like 20 years from now. I'm gonna be calling it Twitter. I don't think anyone ever calls it X. Even with
Mm,
like
yeah.
posting and stuff, I still call it like tweets.
yeah,
But
On Twitter, yeah, it's hard to say like, "Oh, like I posted on X." It's better. "Oh, I tweeted this or retweeted." It sounds
yeah.
much better that way.
right, yeah, exactly. I don't know why they would call it that, but yeah. Actually, guys, so the before I go on and talk about anything else, the schedule technically has not released yet. It is coming out in 8 minutes, so it should be 7 o'clock Central Time. So that's 8 o'clock Eastern Time, and then whatever California time is, what's like two
Five
hours
my
behind.
time right here.
Oh, there you go. Right.
Yeah.
So the schedule is not out yet, and just a little FYI as well. Everything that you've seen online, aside from I believe the Week One Monday game and the Thanksgiving Black Friday game for us, are the only two games that I believe are confirmed, and maybe Week 16 against the Packers. I think I see it on the website, but
Yeah.
as of right now, I would say it's pure speculation. I wouldn't go with anything else until we actually get the schedule released. Now, there's a very good chance that everything we've seen is in fact correct, and that's sort of like a spoiler alert right there, and I hate spoilers, so I've tried my best to sort
Yeah.
of avoid the schedule release from the other leaks and stuff, but it is what it is, man. I'm still excited.
I
I'm
didn't
really
really pay
excited.
attention to it honestly because I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't know. I don't really trust like a lot of these like quote unquote insiders or these like I don't know if you can call them whistleblowers, like especially after Sears Tower, who was wrong about so many things and all these like these leaks. It's hard to
Yeah.
trust it at this point, but
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know if I might be wrong right here because of the schedule releases, but who knows?
No, exactly. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, and we do this with literally anything. I mean, that's how you know this is the off season. This is like that dog days I call it for the NFL off season, where we're over here debating schedules. Like, does it really matter? I mean, we're gonna have to
Right.
play who we got to play. So, you know, I'm honestly glad. I know Soulback Sports, we kind of had the same opinion on this, that we didn't want it to be the Eagles week one, and I'm pretty happy now. If it would have happened, it kind of would have, it could have been, like you said, really good or really bad. Really bad in terms of getting absolutely embarrassed, but really good if we beat them. And that would just kind of set the tone for the rest of the season. I think the Vikings, honestly, in my opinion, is sort of like a really good middle ground, because you're not facing like a team like the Browns or the Giants where it's just like, okay, even if you beat them, so what? It's like you're expected to beat them. And they're not a super difficult team like the Eagles or the Ravens, where it's almost certainly a loss. This game is sort of like, if you lose, okay, cool. You want to be competitive, and you know that you lost against a solid team, not the best team, but you lost against a solid team and a division rival at that. Or you win that game and you sort of set yourself up, one, being on top of the division and beating a division rival, but two, also saying, hey, we can compete with solid rosters out here. The Vikings are not a slouch. So I do really like the fact that we're going against the Vikings. Not too happy that it's a primetime game. I kind of want to stay under the radar a little bit until we prove ourselves, but that's just me. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually kind of feel that way too. But the thing is, we haven't beaten Minnesota at home since 2019. That was the last time. It was
Mm,
that game where Mitch got injured and then injured his shoulder, and then Chase Daniel came in, and then our just defense is completely like annihilated them.
Yeah.
That was the last time we beat them. And then after that, it's been a bunch of stinkers. Like the Monday night game 2020, that was one of the worst. I think that was
Oh,
one of the
yeah.
worst games I've watched like in the last 5 years. Probably
What
one of the
hap-
worst.
What was the score of that game?
It's like 19-13, and their only touchdown was a Cordero Patterson
Kick
kickoff
return.
return, like when the second half opened. 2021. It was that game where we won a Shining Fire and Aggie. That was Justin's rookie year.
Oh my god.
Oh
Yeah.
my god!
Remember?
Wow.
Yeah.
That year was
2020.
tragic.
Oh yeah.
No,
2022. I thought we had something going when I think we started off like what 3-2 or something like that.
yeah.
We started off
In-
decent.
In 2020, we started off 5-1. Actually, I think like
Yeah, we
Oh,
did, and then we
5-2.
dropped to
5-2.
5-7,
Yeah.
5-1
Yeah.
to 5, and then we went on a 6-game losing streak.
Right.
Ooh, 6 games.
I
Why do not
remember-
that.
I remember the main thing I remember was when we faced the Falcons and Trubisky got benched for Nick Foles and
Oh
came in.
yeah, I remember
And-
that.
Right.
That was genuinely one of the like first like few games I like was super into, and I was like, oh my god, this is the Bears are back, guys. We're gonna win it all and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
then it turns out we lost to the Colts the next week, so it's like, dang.
You know what's so funny about that
But the
too? And
bump-
I remember being younger at that time, or like not that much younger, but like still just young and naive. And I remember getting into an argument with some Packers fan on Instagram, and I literally said like, "Go ahead and screenshot this. Nick Foles is gonna beat you guys twice this year. We're gonna sweep you. Go ahead and screenshot this." And I remember seeing that like a few months ago, and I'm like, "What the hell was I on?" I'm like, "This is embarrassing."
Yeah.
Oh,
It was
God.
that Buccaneers game that gave me so much false hope. Like that was the one game that got us to 5-1. Now the Colts game was bad, but beating the Buccaneers and Tom Brady at
Oh,
home,
yeah, that's right.
like,
We beat
yeah,
Brady. That's
it was
right.
on prime time. It was on prime time too. So
Yep.
I was like, wow, this is a big game. And then after that, like we just lost a bunch of. We did lose some games we should have won, like the Vikings game. We should have won that game. And then it was kind of weird because Nick Foles was playing really good in the beginning, and then his play just completely dropped off. Then he
Yeah.
got hurt. Then Trubisky came back in, and then I think we figured out that we should use Montgomery way more. So we started using him a lot more. So that took pressure off the QB, and then Trubisky started playing better. Because I think we kind of turned a switch during that Texans game when we completely annihilated them, and then
Mhm.
Trubisky outperformed Deshaun Watson that game. So that was kind of like his revenge, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, dude, 2020 was. I mean, it was just such a weird year in general. Obviously, you had the COVID stuff going on, so nobody in the stadiums. When like I remember when we beat there was that comeback game against the Lions where we were down
Mhm.
like in the fourth quarter, like 6 minutes left, and we came back, and just the fact that like I couldn't hear like the stadium get quiet or anything. Like I couldn't hear the collective moaning and groaning of the Lions fans. I'm just like, damn it, dude! It just feels like some
Yeah.
practice session. Like it felt like a scrimmage more than anything.
Yeah.
So it kind of took away from
Yeah.
that. And I mean, obviously we know why, but I think it just would have been so nice if that happened any other year, and I would have been able to be on some Lions fans' asses and been like, hey, look what happened to you guys.
You know that 2021 game? It was like when we played the Lions at home, and I think kind of Justin. That was like the first game he played good. Like he had like those 2 deep passes to Darnell Mooney.
Oh
And
yeah, I remember
then,
that.
on memes, like on our Bears pages, everyone was like showed a picture of Brady and Moss. I was like, man, this is our future. And then when 2022 happened, like I was like, I don't know, we might need like another receiver, and then Justin needs to get better at passing.
Yeah,
Because like during that time I was like, okay, like maybe like if we get one more wide receiver, he can cross at least 3,500 yards to help him out. Like that was my thing, because I was like, maybe he's just like rushing for that reason. So like we have a lot of false hope the last few years, which kind of sucks.
dude. Yeah, no, 2021. I mean, I think that was the first year that we just kind of had just consistent downhill. I mean, we had that game against the Bengals, which funny enough, they went to the Super Bowl that year, and we decimated them. Up until kind of like
had
the
3
end.
picks.
Yeah, Burrow threw 3 picks, and
Mhm.
I remember just telling myself, like, I know it was only week 3, but I was like, this team, I don't think the Bengals, like, they're not the same Bengals. Like, they're going to take some time to gel or whatever, but I do think they're going to be a solid team. Now, did I think they were going to be a Super Bowl team? Absolutely not. But Jamar Chase, I think, had a good game that game as well. I remember he caught a deep pass and then destroyed Eddie Jackson's ankles and made him trip somebody else. And I think that was kind of like, I think that's kind of when I figured out that Eddie Jackson is like sort of getting washed, and also he has terrible tackling issues.
All right, it's live now. I think.
Yeah.
Is live?
Yes. I mean, I see it
So
on
it's been
TV.
live
Yes,
for
I
10
see
minutes.
Yep. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and let me share my screen here. Let's see if we can figure out
Schedule.
yes. So if I'm trying to figure out how to share my screen with this one, okay. That's the stage. We got it here. I'll go F11 so I can live stream or full screen. I don't know if you guys could hear that.
Jeez. Yeah. Oh, I can't hear it. You have to
You can't hear
use
it?
no. You have to use like I think your computer audio. I think.
Ooh, okay. Let's see if I can maybe fix that real quick. Ah, man, I knew I was gonna run into this issue. Let's see. Let me try removing it one more time and see what happens. If I go, you said, what'd you say again?
I think for in your
Oh, wait, to share audio, share a tab or screen instead. Okay,
yeah.
let's see.
I'm looking at prices for tickets. Oh my god, near $400 for.
All right,
Oh
let's see.
my
We got this
goodness.
going. Can we hear it?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
What's up, Lamar? When'd you start working here?
Well, it turns out after winning an Emmy, you're not guaranteed work. Here we are. 1 second. What?
Hey, Lamar, it's me. I heard you had the schedule.
Yes, sir, I do. I have it right here in front of me, waiting for you when you get back.
Listen, I'll be out at the game all day. Can you just email it to me?
Yeah, absolutely. Email. I know how to use it. You say email? Hello, coach? Hello? Type this in. Hit me. Got it. Oh, no. Oh, no. No.
What is it?
I sent the schedule, the entire schedule, to every Ben Johnson on the Chicago Bears market.
You sent a confidential schedule?
Yeah.
What if we track down all the emails and delete them before they get them?
That's not enough time. That's not enough time. There's not enough time. We never get it done by then.
Well, look like we're going to need some help here.
Hey, Lamar, how are you?
Jake. Oh my God, I'm glad I got you. Question: Do
Hey.
you happen to be near your cousin Ben right now?
I'm the Johnson family reunion. All the
Whoa.
Johnsons are here. What's up, Jalen? How you doing, cousin?
Jalen Johnson.
Johnson's my
Okay.
family.
Hear me out. Now,
Sorry.
normally you're considered a unreliable person, but right now I need a big favor from you. I need you to break your cousin Ben's phone.
Yeah,
Now
sure,
it's a long
no
story,
problem.
but we accidentally, we
All right, bye, Lamar.
guess your mom was wrong about you. My man.
Hey, are you Ben? I'm Rome, and this is Caleb. We play for the Bears.
I've never heard of you.
Really? We were the first round picks last year.
QB?
Receiver?
Well, it doesn't matter. Can we see your tablet?
What are you gonna give me for it?
I got $8.
I'm gonna need more than that.
Today we're gonna solve a very difficult problem. We wanna follow the pandas. If you can't remember,
Hey.
Let's go. Damn.
That's gotta hurt.
Oh, Mr. Johnson. How you like that?
Hey.
Cairo.
hey, y'all want me to get that for you? Go ahead. Thank you. Yeah. Ben, right? Ben Johnson?
You know it.
Yeah.
Oh, Peanut
Hey,
Tillman.
cheese.
Yo.
Cheese.
Yo, so this cheese is crazy. DJ.
Oh, hey, look what I got.
Oh, let me see that, man. That's crazy. What?
I'm sorry, it slipped.
Damn.
So we got a signed jersey, a game ball, and front row tickets to the home opener.
That watch looks nice.
Yeah.
Damn.
Ladies and gentlemen,
welcome
welcome to
Really grifting that Caleb Blue.
I know, right?
Oh.
Hey, Spice.
Billings.
Hey.
Oh my gosh! It's Caleb Williams right there.
Damn.
Caleb?
What?
I love how they actually haven't shown the
Hey,
schedule.
you never sent me the schedule.
It's in here. It's in my pocket. So just gotta
Who are you?
I'm Ben Johnson.
That kid's back.
There you go.
All
Holy
right.
crap. So, okay, so I assume that's about it for that one. Yeah, okay.
Pretty much.
So we've got preseason against the Dolphins, Bills, and Chiefs. Why do I feel like we're always facing the Chiefs?
We're always facing the Bills.
Yeah, the Bills, the Chiefs are like the two guys we always face. Dolphins, I remember last time we faced them, I think when Justin Fields was a rookie, I want to say,
Mm-hmm.
and he had that
No,
touchdown
it
run
was
against them.
2022, his second year. Or like
Yeah.
preseason, right?
I think it was. So.
Oh, I think that was like the game against it was the Bills or Dolphins where he got hit really hard. It was like his helmet came off.
Right. Oh, by the way, welcome in, Kumar. I know you're a little late to the party, but you joined at the right time. Obviously, we're looking at the schedule here. Vikings week 1. And if I'm looking at the rest of the schedule, I think the leaks were correct, unfortunately. And I was kind of hoping they weren't. But, I mean, it is what it is. But damn, okay. So we've got, let's see this. Let's think so for the primetime games, we've got week 1. And we've got week 6, so that's 2. We don't have another one up until the Eagles, week 13.
That's Black
so
Friday.
3. Yeah, Black Friday, yep. And then, I mean, I don't know if you would consider that prime time, I guess, but then you got TBD, maybe that's prime time, and then you got San Francisco. So you got 4 confirmed, maybe like, I don't know, 3.5. And then obviously, depending on how we do later in the season, if we exceed expectations, maybe that gets flexed. I think maybe one of the Packers games will probably get flexed up there. I'd honestly be fine with like the Bengals getting flexed too. I mean, they're a high-powered offense. I think that game is going to be a really high-scoring game. But man, ending it off with the Lions, week 18. I mean, that's poetic.
Yeah. Same with like Ben Johnson when he ended off last year against the
Oh my
Vikings.
gosh. So I guess let's go right into it. What do you guys think about the schedule? About the official
Starts off
schedule
pretty
now?
tough.
Yeah, so we'll start off with Soback Sports. What is your thoughts on this schedule, man?
I mean, for the most part, I think it's because we already had a tough schedule to start off with, and I think I would have preferred a little bit of a bye week in the middle of the season rather than way too early.
Yeah,
I guess it's just I think with the Bears, it's always either an early bye week or a very, very late bye week. So, not really, we can't really do much about that. The fact that we have a bye week and then the Commanders is kind of funny.
Oh
Like
yeah,
last year.
Yeah.
last year. Damn, yeah, low key. I didn't even peep that until now. Damn it.
Yeah. And
that
then
PTSD is gonna come back to me.
oh yeah, like literally. Finishing off with like the season with the Lions is pretty. I like that. Especially if it comes down to like playoff seeding. If say like we are in the mix for playoffs, I know I'm going ahead of schedule right now. We'll have to wait a bit, but that'd be a very fun game, like to be at home as well. What else is there? I guess our easier schedules are kind of like more leaning at home rather than away.
Oh yeah, no, they flooded our away schedule with talent. I mean, they do not want us to win any away games this year. I don't know
Not for
why.
real.
Right.
I
I,
mean-
feel like the only games we have a chance to win on the road, it's probably like San Francisco and then who else?
I would say the
Green Bay.
Bengals as well. You know why? I think the Bengals did absolutely nothing to address their defense, and on top of that, they are most likely going to lose Hendrickson. So I think maybe that's another one. I guess.
Dude,
Shamar
it'd
hasn't
be
even
like
signed his
the-
deal yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. What do you think, man, about the schedule? What are your thoughts?
I think honestly, I don't want to make too many hasty predictions yet because, like, the last 2 years I've been proven wrong because there's been teams that I predicted that'll do good. They were not good. There are teams that I expected, like the Vikings last year. I thought they were going to be last in the division.
Nobody did.
And they
Nobody
did,
thought they were going to be good.
Yeah, and then now they're going to be good. But now, like, I feel like considering like the teams that have like stayed the same, like in the off season, like I'd say free agency wise, coaching staff wise, right? Like if you look at the Packers, they did absolutely really nothing. All they did was just draft Matthew Golden, but now their other wide receivers have issues. Like Christian Watson is injured; he's going to be out for most of the season because he got hurt week 18.
Yeah,
so he's going to come back at earliest October, November. That's like putting it in a nice way because now ACL injuries, people recover faster, and then I think Romeo Dobbs or whatever is done. Or like not done, but like he's had like they don't know what his role is going to be on the offense. And then
Yeah.
their defense, they only added Isaiah Simmons. Their pass rush isn't as good as should be, but their secondary could be a bit better if Jair Alexander plays the entire year. The Giants D line, that's going to be something we're going to have to watch out for. I know their offense is pretty bad because their O line is terrible, and we don't even know who's going to start their quarterback. Like, there could be a chance that all 4 quarterbacks start the entire season.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Right.
And then
Exactly.
Vegas game, that's probably going to be our easiest real game because honestly, all we're going to have to do is stack the box against Ashton Genty. That's going to be
Genty. That's gonna be interesting. I wonder how ready our run defense is against him. I mean, it's gonna have to depend on how good their offensive line is with the guys they drafted and whoever else they added in free agency, and if Ashton Genty lives up to the hype, and if the guys we drafted and signed in free agency help with the run. So,
right.
Yeah, Kumar, man. First off, welcome to the show. But do you have any thoughts on the schedule release? You are on mute, by the way, just so you know. Let's see if can I unmute you? Yeah, you are muted.
Wait, can you hear
There
me
you are.
now?
Okay, yep, I can hear you now.
All right, cool. I mean, yeah, for me, I think it's a pretty hard away schedule. Hold on, I'm trying to pull this up. All right, oops, can't do that. Yeah. So for me, it's a pretty brutal away schedule. Playing the Raiders, Commanders, Ravens, Bengals, back to back. And then, ending it off playing, the Eagles, Packers, like playing the Packers in a span of 2 weeks is pretty brutal, if you ask me. But I think we should be able to win one of them or even both of them. I mean, we won one of them last year with Thomas Brown. And I think that Caleb provides us with other opportunities that, we might have had in other quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And, Ben Johnson is obviously, the X factor here. So I think if Ben Johnson is who we all hyped him up to be, I feel pretty good about the schedule, even though it is a bit hard. I think max I can see is like 8 wins to maybe like even 11 wins and can be like a playoff team, which I think is possible if Ben is who we think he is.
Yeah.
And another thing is that, sorry, you go on.
No, go ahead.
And another thing is that, our entire division is going to have the same schedule, right? Because they're also going to be playing the AFC North, and they're also going to be playing us. I mean, we're all good. All the teams in our division are solid. So that's one thing. So there could be a chance where, who knows if, all 4 teams end up going, between 10-7 and 12-5, right? There could be a chance that even all 4 teams make the playoffs. So who knows? And then the thing about, I feel like, before our bye week, if we start off at least 3-1, I think we probably lose to Detroit because it's a road game. That's going to be a great way to start off the season. But it just sucks that it's a week 5 bye because it's better if it's in the middle of the season so all the players can get rest after getting banged up. But then since we're playing at Washington, we know the players are going to have a chip on their shoulder. Montez Sweat was traded out of there, so they're going to have a chip on their shoulder. And I think now, our offense, I know our defense could be probably middle of the pack, or last year, what was your rank last season? I think it was 17th overall.
Around there, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so now that we've added some players like Grady Jarrett and signed some veterans, and on top of that, we have a better DC. Who knows what he's doing? So I think that could help, but I think the main X factor is offense because you can't just rely on just a strong defense anymore to win games. So I think just the O-line and all of that having a bunch of weapons who can help us spread the offense out better, not have to just rely exclusively on the passing game or the run game, even though we don't have an elite RB. We could have a good rotation of RBs who can just take the pressure off. So I think that's what I'm looking forward to seeing from here.
Yeah, I mean, I think going into my thoughts real quick on it, what I'm noticing here is a lot of our division games are spread out, except the Packers that we play back to back, basically. But if you look at the Vikings, we play them week 1, and then we don't play them again till week 11. Detroit is week 2, and then we don't play them until week 18. And this can be a good thing and a bad thing, where it's the Vikings or either the Vikings or Detroit. If you lose to one of those teams, I mean, it's just going to be that long road ahead of you where you're man, I want to get back at them. I want to, hopefully by then we build enough of our team and we've got enough of our, chemistry down to where we can actually go ahead and beat them next time, wherever we're facing them away or home. And I guess that can be a good thing and a bad thing, sort of preparing for that. Week 5 bye, it is a little earlier than I like, but then again, the Eagles did have a week 5 bye last year, and I'm not saying that means we're going to win a Super Bowl, but it doesn't necessarily it's not exactly a deal breaker in terms of you having a bad or good season. Obviously, having that bye week right before the Washington Commanders, I can only assume that the NFL did that on purpose just because they hate Bears fans, I guess. But yeah, of course, that kind of sucks. The Saints, probably in contention for number 1 overall pick next year, probably to tank for Manning squad next year. The Ravens and Bengals are sort of a two-headed monster there from October 26th to November 2nd. The Giants, probably a little resting period there. Now, they could be a scary team. I think they're like a dark horse team, not necessarily like a playoff dark horse, but maybe not as bad as we think they are because now they have such an elite defensive line. I mean, you've got Abdul Carter, you've got Kayvon in there, Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns. I mean, oh my goodness. I mean, what I wouldn't do for the Bears to have that D line. I mean, if we're not, a good offensive line by then, they could beat us. Like, really. I mean, the game is won in the trenches. So if they beat us there, I mean, I wouldn't overlook the Giants this year just off that alone. You've got the Steelers, obviously, that are a great defense. And then you've got, obviously, the Lions, who you face off at the end, which obviously was the NFL having their hands on there. Obviously, you had to either start off with the Lions or ended it with the Lions, and they chose to end it off with the Lions. And that's both exciting and scary to me, but I don't know, man. I'm excited either way, man. I can't wait for the season to start. Thank God we don't have to wait 11 weeks like last year to face a division opponent.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm okay with it. I'm not. I don't know. Last year I had a big problem with having 11 games there before we faced the Packers. I mean, you have that stretch where you're not facing anybody in your division from, I believe, week 3 on, because you got week 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so literally, what is that? 8 weeks? So you're not 8 straight weeks where you're not facing any of your division rivals. So I guess you kind of have that like middle ground there. But other than that, I'm okay with it. And the primetime games too. I'm not sure if you guys share the same opinion as me, but I'm kind of tired of being this overhyped team and then not performing. And so even though I have a ton of faith that we're going to do good this season, I want to see it first. And I didn't want the NFL to schedule us 5-6 primetime games expecting us to be this playoff contending team or whatever. And then for us to just sink under the heavy expectations. I think this is perfect. And you start off with 4. And if we exceed expectations, if Ben Johnson's the right guy, if Caleb Williams takes that year 2 leap, you go ahead and you flex maybe the Green Bay game, or you flex the Lions game. Who knows? I mean, maybe one of those games will end up being primetime anyway. But yeah, man, I think that's sort of my thoughts on that. But I think one thing I want to get into, and I'm going to ask you guys as well, is what is your most anticipated matchup this season? If you have to pick one team that maybe you want to go to watch the game, or you're just, that Sunday, like, I'm going to be at home watching that game, I cannot miss. Which game is that for you? We'll start off with Sobak.
Ooh, I mean, there are a ton. Like, there are actually a ton of games that I'm like genuinely looking forward to.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I'll give like 2 because one of them is kind of important to me, like for a personal standpoint.
Yeah.
And it's against the Ravens, actually, because I have a Baltimore Ravens friend of mine who, we did a little bit of a wager, so I'm very much looking forward to that game. But I think for me, it's what we do against the Packers, honestly. Like, genuinely, that's my main thing. Because now we're playing them week 14 and 16. So to end off the season, really, it's going to be very crucial to see how we fare against them. Obviously, we ended the season last year beating them in Lambeau. So can we get that home win in front of the fans like we deserve? So I'd say probably December 20th is probably going to be the biggest game for me.
Yeah, and real quick on that before we get into the next person. So, if you had a choice to beat either the Packers at home or at their stadium, which one would you choose?
Probably at home because
At home.
it's like I think it means more like to us. Like, yeah, it's cool that we can beat them at Lambeau. Like we beat them right now at Lambeau. It's cool, but like we had a chance last year where Caleb had a decent performance. Came up clutch.
Yep.
He did come up clutch in that last game too, but specifically, with the bad games that he's had, the bad stretch that he had, and he was able to still come clutch in that game, and all it decided on a field goal. Like, imagine how much Soldier Field would have erupted if we had actually won that game off that field goal at home. So, personally, I think like it means more if we win at home, just for the fans' sake.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree 100%, man. It would have been so nice to see that happen. And it's funny because I was actually in Iceland during that game, and I was trying to watch it like streaming wise, but obviously being in the middle of nowhere, I couldn't really do that. Oof. And it was my dad texting me, giving me play by play, and then like telling me that we were set up for a field goal. And I think at that point I was just sort of like a Debbie Downer just from everything that happened, and I'm just like, we're going to find a way to lose this. He's going to miss the kick somehow, or something's going to happen. Lightning's going to strike Cairo Santos or I don't know. Something's going to happen where we lose.
Technically it kind of did.
Something
struck. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Same thing happened to me too. Cause I was watching the game on my TV, and then my friend was watching, but he was 10 seconds ahead in the stream. And I had my phone up because, we always text each other reactions, and most of our reactions are just curse words. So I just remember him in all caps, he texted, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And then that was right when Cairo Santos was about to kick. I was like, "Oh no!" So yeah,
man.
That happened.
Well, what's your most anticipated matchup home?
I think it's situation based. So let's say if Aaron Rodgers signs with Pittsburgh, I definitely am gonna go to the Steelers game because it's mainly him. We get our revenge back against him, especially considering he's old and washed. At the same time, Caleb. Also, that was his favorite quarterback too. So it's he can pass the torch to him. It's the old dude passes it off to him. So that'd be a good one to see. And then we finally get to be Aaron Rodgers since 2018.
Yeah.
So that will be huge because probably his last season we annihilate. Let's say we annihilate the Steelers, right? That would be the perfect way to end off the 10 years of misery we under just Rodgers just owning us.
Oh yeah, that if we beat Aaron Rodgers, if he signed to the Steelers and we beat him, I mean that alone would create world peace. I mean you would have all of Chicago in harmony. I mean literally it would be beautiful. It would be poetic, man.
Families get back together after fighting for decades over pieces of land.
Bro, Blood and Crips would hold hands that day over how beautiful that would be. I mean it would be heavenly to just. On the last play or whatever, just sack Aaron Rodgers, send him into retirement, man, especially after that game or after that season, man. And just knowing that after the years of torment, it's finally done. We finally moved on. It's sort of getting that closure with him.
Imagine what the crowd at Soldier Field will be chanting, right when he's walking off. Let's say they get annihilated by double digits. He's walking off the field. The fans are not going to, what's going to be on every fan's mind. They're not going to take that lightly. But if it's a close game and let's say they sack him or pick him off, the fans' reactions are going to be way better considering it was a close game. So, yeah, if he's there, I'm definitely going to buy the tickets and go to Soldier Field. And we have played really good against Pittsburgh at home. I don't know the last time. It's been so many decades. I think 40 years since they last won at Soldier Field because 2017 we beat them. We upset them. Remember, it was
with Mike Glennon.
Didn't even play.
Yeah, it was Mike Glennon. That's crazy. I don't know how he did that.
He beat them. And then before that, it was 2009 when they were defending Super Bowl champions. And it was Jay Cutler's second game. He threw 4 picks week 1 against the Packers, and then he came up clutch against them. So I think that's going to be a big factor in us beating the Steelers, as well as the entire team wanting to beat Aaron Rodgers after 7 years.
Right, exactly, man. Kumar, man, what is your most anticipated matchup?
Yeah, I mean, other than the NFC North rivals, Vikings and Lions and Packers, one of my friends plays on the Packers, Jaden Reed. So for me, that's pretty anticipating. But I'd say, I totally agree with you guys. I think the Steelers, the Steelers, Ravens are all good games. I'll go with something pretty similar. I say the Bengals. I think that's a pretty hyped up game for me, especially if we start off pretty hot. And if we start out pretty hot and it gets flexed, I think that for me that's going to be a really, really good game. Joe Burrow versus Caleb, the two number one picks. They were both 5-star guys. I love that. And then I even say maybe the Saints. Even though that'll be like an easy win, I'd say just for first round, Mako keeps saying Spencer Rattler is so bad. Just to have us beat him, and
That's
make
true.
him send him into the ethers would be amazing.
Oh, you know what? Now that you mentioned that, I actually really hope that Spencer Rattler starts that game. I hope it's so bad. It would be, like my perfect situation for that game is, let's say for whatever reason, Spencer Rattler, he starts off the season, he's solid, whatever, he wins the starting job, enough to make it to at least week 7 against us. Injury, whatever, I don't care how it happens. He starts the game, we absolutely destroy him, and by halftime or by the third quarter, he's benched for either Shuck or I forgot what other quarterback they have in that room, but he's benched. Haener, yeah, I remember is it Jake Haener, I believe?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jake Haener. That would be just poetic. I mean, first round mock, he'll come up with something. He'll say, Ben Johnson came up with a great scheme to make the game easier for Caleb. Spencer Rattler had no scheme and he did everything he could. And I can already hear the tweets loading for him, but I mean,
he has them in the drafts.
I mean, there's a quote I heard once. You can either have excuses or you could have results, but you can't have both.
Mm-hmm.
So if we go ahead and beat him that game, I mean, I don't care what excuse he throws out there. It's something that he can't take away from us. But I think we lost Ohm for a second. He'll probably be back.
No, he said he had to leave.
Meeting.
Oh, he had to leave? Okay, got it. Yes, okay. There you go. Okay, so
yeah, I want to add in one more thing.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Yes, my bad. Yes.
For you, imagine Sherman Turner sacks Aaron Rodgers.
Oh,
to beat him. That'd be amazing for you.
Oh my goodness, the memes are already loaded up. I mean, every bullet in the chamber right there. I mean, it would be beautiful for me. But I would say I have two as well. I would start off for one. I think I'm going to go with the obvious one first, and it's going to be the Washington Commanders. And for the most obvious reasons, obviously, we don't want to talk too much about that Hail Mary that derailed our season last year. But before that play, we shut him down. And it wasn't like he wasn't good before that. He was starting to catch feet, and then I think he played the Bengals beforehand. I think that was that sort of like that coming out game where he just like ascended to like being a top quarterback. And we shut him down. He literally had no touchdowns that entire game until a lucky Hail Mary saved him. And it was, I mean, the amount of things that had to happen for that play to be set up, from Eberflus, playing so far deep, to not calling a timeout, for Stevenson, showboating during the play, and then him being the reason why it tipped into Noah Brown's hands. I mean, this is sort of like, this is our revenge game. And, I talked about it in our last podcast where they didn't really do much to address their defense. I mean, yeah, their offense is going to be nice, and I think it's going to be a shootout. But so far, I mean, as of right now, things could very much well, change from now till the season starts. But they haven't addressed their defense at all, really. They signed a corner. I mean, they drafted a corner in Trey Amos, but, what does that do for their run game? What does that do for their pass rush? They don't have anything outside of that. So you're looking at a pretty solid, offensive like shootout basically for us. And I really think this time around, I think we can really show that we were supposed to win that game. And I just really hope we destroy Jaden Daniels, man. I'm tired of hearing already. Year one, we should have drafted Jaden Daniels. Oh, look at him. He's going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback now. Let's pump the brakes. All right. We said the same thing about CJ Stroud, and he didn't do that great either. So, give him some time, give it some more time with Caleb, and I think he'll show why he was drafted number 1 overall. But my second anticipated matchup is actually the Dallas Cowboys. And I kind of was going to go with the Eagles as well, but I'm going to stick with the Dallas Cowboys, and it's solely the fact that Matty Eberflus is the defensive coordinator there. And in my opinion, that man should be thrown in jail for what he did to Caleb Williams, what he did to the potential of last year. I mean, he single-handedly destroyed our season. Obviously, Caleb didn't play perfect. Obviously, our run defense was terrible, especially after we lost Andrew Billings. But, man, I think he did just about as bad as he possibly could have in his situation. Did start off great, went 4-2, did good, the Commanders game, whatever, Shane Waldron. Hiring Shane Waldron too, another thing he could be charged for, really. And then, I mean, after that, dude, I mean, you lose the locker room off the Hail Mary. I get it. It's a tough way to lose. I'm not taking that away, but I feel like 75% of the coaches would have been like, okay, oh well, move on. Look at Matt Nagy back in 2018 when we gave up a 20-0 lead to the Packers. That was kind of our Hail Mary. I mean, that game to me felt worse than losing to the Commanders that way. Losing to Aaron Rodgers, being up 20-0. I mean, it was like you finally could beat him, and for me, that hurt more. So, and when it ended up happening, we went 12-4 that year. It didn't really derail it, and we ended up beating Aaron Rodgers later on that year too. But what he did against pretty much the rest of the league afterwards was nothing short of just an atrocity, man. And I know he's a good defensive coordinator. I know he did good, sometimes with his defensive play calling and stuff. But I think when we faced the Cowboys, I think a lot of players, didn't feel like he was suitable to be a head coach. And I'm pretty sure even Caleb felt the same way. So, there's going to be a little bit of fire there where it's just like, you know what? Like, we're going to show you what you should have done with us. We're going to show you what a real coach can do with our talent. Because there was no way that our roster was a 5-12. What was it? 5-12 roster. I think it was 5-12. Yeah. I keep thinking there's 16 games still. But yes, a 5-12 roster with the roster we had with Caleb Williams, with DJ, with Rome, with DeAndre Swift. And I get the offensive line was bad, but I mean, you hired Shane Waldron. You accomplished something that has never been done in 100 years of Bears football, and that is to get yourself fired in the middle of the season. I mean, do you realize how bad you have to be to let that happen to you? I mean, you could make an argument that wouldn't be so bad if we just had like a great history of coaches where that just wasn't going to happen because we just have great coaches. But I mean, aside from Lovie Smith and Ditko, who did we have? We had Matt Nagy. All you had to do was go above Matt Nagy, go above Mark Trestman, go above John Fox. Just don't do what they did. And even that was too high of a bar for him. Mm-hmm. I mean, that is ridiculous. Yeah. So I want this game to just be an absolute beatdown. Maybe that's the game where we can convince Micah Parsons to come to the Bears because I don't know if they're going to resign him, but I still am on that train. I really want Micah Parsons as a Bear, but I mean, it would depend on the cost and everything, but that's my anticipated matchup. But going on to our next topic here, I'm not going to take too much of our time today, but do you guys have sort of like a division record prediction for the 6 division games? What do you think that would be like for 2025? We'll start off with Sobak.
I mean, it's always tricky. It's a little slippery slope when it comes to early predictions. But
yeah,
I mean, I feel like in terms of ceiling and a floor, with the floor, I'd be okay with 8 wins. With the ceiling, I think we can go with probably 12, above 12. Because I think we have a really tough schedule, and especially for like a Ben Johnson in his first season. Like in Ben Johnson's like first true season as the offensive coordinator, they only went like 12-5 or something like that. When they went to the NFC Championship game or 2 years ago. So I think it wouldn't be out of the question if they could potentially get 8 wins if they just call normal plays. And then again, the schedule is a little bit tougher, so like it's probably going to be a little bit tricky, especially with so many away games. So probably 8 wins is a good floor, at least for now. We're going to probably do more analysis on that, but like as of for now, 8 wins and then 12 wins is your max.
So what would be then for the division, like in terms of the 6 games that we play our division? What do you think would be our record inside the division?
I think in our division, I feel like we can Ooh, that's also tough. I feel like we can split. As of right now, I feel like we can split every series.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a fair assessment, at least in my mind.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's sort of like the middle ground with it. I think you want to at least go 3-3 in the division. I think
Mhm.
anything above that, you're probably playoff contenders because every team in our division is in all accounts a playoff contender. I mean, the Vikings had 13 wins last year. The Lions obviously were the first seed. The Packers made the playoffs. So I think if you, assuming that the teams are as good, per se, and are playoff contenders the way they are next season, I think if you do go 3-3, I think that's solid. And then if you go 4-2 or anything more, then you're most likely in the playoffs because then you're probably able to compete with every other team that you face on your schedule. So I think I like that as well. 3-3 looks pretty good. What about you, Kumar? What do you think the division record would be, or a season record as well?
Yeah, hold on one sec. So for me personally, I think that I'll go by game by game, but I'm gonna go pretty quick. So I think that we win against the Vikings. I think we lose against Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna beat Dallas. We're gonna beat Vegas, beat the Commanders, beat the Saints. And then I think these two games are the hardest for me to predict. I do think we will fall to the Ravens, but I think we can easily win against the Bengals, especially considering like what is a Trey Hendrickson situation. And if he's not on the Bengals, which is looking like he won't be, I think we can win that game. I mean, for me, I think the Bengals have a lot of issues. And I think that, yes, their offense is really good, so our defense has to absolutely bring it.
Yeah.
But I like us beating the Bengals. I like us beating the Giants. I like us beating the Minnesota, the Vikings. And then, you probably will not win against Philly. Maybe lose at Green Bay, but I think it will be close. I think there might be a possibility we can win. You're gonna beat Cleveland. I think we can beat the Packers. I'm pretty 50-50 on the Packers. But I think that I think we can win that game. I think we can beat the 49ers and Lions. We'll see. If we are hot, I think we can win. So I think, I don't know, maybe that's 11 or 12 wins. I think, minimum, I think we can win like 8 or 9 games. Maximum, I think we drop maybe like 5. So yeah, and in terms of the division, I like JJ McCarthy. I think he's a really good quarterback. Even though I am an Ohio State fan, but I don't know. I mean, for me, even when I watched JJ at Michigan, it was a lot about them running the run game. That's what Jim Harbaugh really, really harped on. So we'll see what Kevin O'Connell does. He does a really good job with quarterbacks. But I have a feeling that JJ might underwhelm. So I think we beat the Vikings. And then, the Packers, we typically lose one of those. And then, the Lions are no slouch, pretty elite. So I think we split one of them. Yeah, those are my predictions. But of course, there could be a possibility and when we somehow suit NFC North to be ideal. I mean, we almost did it last year. So we'll see. We have a lot of talent on this team. So yeah.
No, yeah, I agree. Actually, I was going to say, I think that's kind of my exact prediction in terms of the division record, because I'm thinking, I guess I'm sort of thinking on the high end here, 4-2 in the division. So I'm thinking we sweep the Vikings. I'm not a big believer in JJ McCarthy. I'm sorry. Now, I do think for what he was drafted into, I think he was drafted into probably the best situation. Now you've got Kevin O'Connell as a great coach. You got Justin Jefferson, best receiver in the league, up there with Jamar. You've got a great tight end. You've got a great wide receiver too in Addison. You've got a decent run game. You fixed the O-line. So I do like the situation that they've created for him. And on top of the fact, he's been out for an entire season. So he's kind of had that chance to, sit there and develop. Probably not too active because he was injured. But, I do think that he's in a good situation. I just didn't like him coming out of college too much just because it was a very run-heavy scheme, and that offense is more predicated on the pass. So you're taking, a quarterback that's going from one scheme to another. Now, obviously, they are going to run the ball because they're kind of balanced, but you got Justin Jefferson on the team for a reason. You got TJ Hawkinson for a reason. You're not going to all of a sudden turn into the Chargers, just becoming a run first team, or the Ravens. You're going to be a team that wants to air it out. And I don't know if McCarthy is going to be that guy to be able to do that. So I do think we do sweep the Vikings, and I think we split with the Lions and Packers. A lot of me wants to say that we're gonna beat the Packers both times, but I'm gonna pump the brakes on that for now. And then going into Detroit, I think we lose probably week 2, and I think it's for the same reason I think I mentioned last time, which was the fact that for Ben Johnson and for the rest of the team and a lot of new pieces we have that we've acquired in the offseason, we've acquired in the draft, it's going to take some time for these guys to gel together. So you're going to have, the offensive line, the new offensive line guys are going to need time to be able to communicate and have a new offensive line. And then I don't know why someone's honking outside. I don't know if you guys can hear that. But the Lions, I think, are just more of an established team. And I think when you take that into account, I think we probably lose that first matchup. And then you go into week 18, we're an established team. Hopefully, knock on wood, no injuries to either side. And we go ahead and we beat them. And maybe that's the game that solidifies our playoff seeding or playoff, berth in general. I'd say for a season expectation for wins, I'm probably going to say 9 to 10 wins. Our schedule is a little bit more tougher than I would have liked, but I do think that we are a competitive team this year. I don't think competitive in the sense of playoffs. I don't think we're competitive in Super Bowl just yet. Obviously, anything could happen, but I think there are some teams here. I think like the Cincinnati Bengals and maybe even the Eagles, to be honest, because outside of Jalen Carter, I don't really know who they have on the D-line. I mean, they lost Josh Sweat, they lost Milton Williams, and I don't think they really did too much to address that in either free agency or in the draft. And I'm not really big fans of what they did either. So they could be a quote-unquote fall-off candidate. Now, they still have Saquon. They still have a bunch of guys on offense. So that could very well be wrong. But I'm saying maybe like 9 to 10 wins for me. But moving on to the next topic here, just going to ask you guys real quick, and we'll end it after this. But what are your guys' sort of expectations for the 2025 season for the Bears? So this is either in terms of wins, playoff expectations, or just season goals in general. When we're going into 2025, what do you say would make a successful season for the Bears? We'll start off with Sobek.
I mean, the main thing is wins. I mean, that's just what it was supposed to be last season. Can you get wins, and can Caleb, thrive in an offense under Ben Johnson? And I think once those two questions are answered, everything will fall into place. Because, I mean, actually, no. If Caleb can thrive in this offense, then the wins will start piling up. Because we are still equipped. At the end of the day, the Bears are equipped with this heck of a roster created by Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles. And, we have depth, but the only issue or the only key question mark is really just the offensive line a little bit and the edge rusher position on the other side of Montez Sweat.
Yeah.
And I think that the main goals for this season is literally just, can Caleb thrive and get 4,000 yards? Because that's going to be a huge one, huge indicator. And can that result into wins? Because we're kind of at a point where we've been in a rebuild. We've created a team, or curated a team, spent all this money. Now it has to see the results on the field, and results are wins at the end of the day. So those are my only two goals. It's really nothing crazy, nothing too extensive. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I like it. I do agree too. Yeah, for sure. Being in a rebuild for this long was definitely not part of the plan. I think last year was supposed to be that year we took that next leap. And it seems like we just kind of went like one step forward, 2 steps back. And that's kind of been the MO with the Bears for the past, 5 years or so, maybe. So I really hope it's different for us, especially with Caleb Williams and him taking that next step, man. So I definitely agree big time right there. But Kumar, what do you think, man? What are your expectations?
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, I think that it all depends on a few factors. Which is the offensive line. Like, can it come together? Like, yes, you have Drew Dahlman, Joe Thuney, Jonah Jackson, maybe Braxton Jones or Odsky setting up left tackle. And then Darnell Wright. Like, arguably, this is probably the best offensive line we've probably had in Bears history, honestly. Like, can it come together? And then with Ben Johnson, like, same thing. Like, arguably, this is the best head coach that we've had since like Mike Ditka, since George House, right? You know, I think Ben Johnson has a chance to enrich himself within those two head coaches. You know, if he's what he's hyped up to be, I think we're in good hands. I do think that there are a few holes in this team. Offensive line, no, but running back, you know, we have a running game. That's kind of my worry here. And then edge rusher, like I like the Deo signing, but can he be that edge opposite Montez Sweat? That's kind of my worry. So I'd say if Deo comes together, if we have a decent run game, I think we'll be fine. Maybe the Bears pull up a trade for a running back or get a running back. We'll see what happens. But I do think that, you know, some big change will come to running back or edge before the season. That could impact how we do. But yeah, that's kind of what I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think both of you hit it on the head. Obviously, with Caleb and Ben Johnson, those are going to be the two deciding factors. You know, I think if Caleb and Ben Johnson prove themselves in the Bears organization, I think everything else just falls into place. And I would add probably one more thing too, and Kumar, you did touch base on it a little bit. Our defense in general, and you know, a large part of why we were so bad last year was just our inability to stop the run. And even though we do have studs in the secondary, there's only so much you can do when you have a lack of pass rush, when a team establishes the run, and it's a big reason why we lost. What was it, like 11 games in a row or something crazy? And we completely fell apart. So I think for Dennis Allen, I really want to see him, you know, first off, dial up more blitzes, because I feel like for some reason the Bears are just allergic to hiring defensive coordinators that want to blitz. And I want to see that a lot more especially on third and fourth down. I mean, fourth down, maybe it does happen, but especially on third downs. And I want it to be predictable either. I just kind of want it to be like one of those things where I kind of see, I think like the Bucks in 2020, the year that they won the Super Bowl, they did this really well, where they would have guys like the linebackers all up in the gaps, like A and B gaps there. And you didn't know if they were all going to just come screaming right to you, or they're going to drop back in coverage. And that's sort of one of my favorite blitzes. And I think he could definitely utilize that against like an inexperienced quarterback, like a JJ McCarthy, or even like a young quarterback like Jordan Love, or any of the other quarterbacks that we go against, whether it's the Saints or the Giants or the Steelers. So I want Dennis Allen to, now we gave him some more pieces. We gave him Deo. We gave him Shamar Turner, especially, you know, we gave him Grady Jarrett. You know, we didn't sign a top tier guy. It's not, we don't have a Jalen Carter or Myles Garrett on our team, but the Eagles proved last year that you don't really need that. You know, I mean, Jalen Carter was a big reason, but in terms of edge rushers, you know, we got better edge rushers than what the Eagles had last year. You know, we got Montez, we got Deo, and, you know, we've got Austin Booker back there. Maybe they sign one more guy. Maybe they trade for Trey Hendrickson, or maybe they sign Jadeveon Clowney in free agency, maybe get that rotation going. But I want that D-line to come together, and not in 2018 form, because that's a very high bar to jump, especially when you have 2018 Mac in there. But I just don't want us to be a liability anymore. You know, if we're going to be a competitive team in any sort of way next season, we need to have some sort of semblance as a defense. And yes, I expect our offense to be better than our defense, but it shouldn't be such a large disparity where like it was like the Bengals last year, where their offense was top tier and their defense was bottom of the league, and they didn't miss the playoffs. So, you know, I'm thinking at least top 15, man, top 17. I'm thinking maybe around at like 13 to 15 range would at least be good enough, at least where you have some games where you're having like 3 or more sacks, or you're holding a team to like less than 60 rushing yards, 50 rushing yards. It'd be great because you've got teams in this division that have good running backs, or at least have a good run game, with the Vikings, with the Lions, with the Packers. You're going against the Ravens, who are arguably the best in the league at that. You've got, Ashton Genty against Las Vegas. You've got the Cowboys. They don't have a great running back there, but they have a really good offensive line, and they've always been able to run the ball. The Eagles, especially, man, we don't want Saquon Barkley running for 200 yards and 4 touchdowns on our heads like he did against the Rams last year. The 49ers, Shanahan loves to run the ball, and he can just pretty much throw anybody from Walmart in the backfield and they'll rush for 100 yards. So I really want this defense to come together. So that's sort of my expectation, one of my bigger expectations for the season, my hopeful expectations. But yeah, that's what I think for the Bears, man. But I think that's going to do it for this episode here, man. This is, I think, the 3rd straight week that we've all come together and had this. And we had, obviously, the new man on the show with Ohm. So I'm hoping we get him more involved here. But I want to thank you, Sobak and Kumar, for both hopping on here, man. It's been obviously a pleasure being able to talk football with you guys, for 3 straight weeks now. And, unfortunately, it is the dead period of the NFL offseason, but that doesn't mean that there is nothing to talk about. So we'll definitely be doing more of these. Like I said, guys, if you guys like the content, obviously like and subscribe and show some love to the boys right here, man. They have their YouTube channel links in the description. So go ahead and show them some love on their videos. They make amazing content, man. But I think we're going to wrap it up here, man. So
yeah, sounds good.
I think this was a good stream, guys. I think that this was a good way to sort of, realize what we have to face in the NFL season. So I'm excited for Bears season, man. I cannot wait. But I think we're done here, man. We'll end the stream right here.
Sounds good.
All right. And